Are carbs making you fat, or is it something else? So, what a lot of people have been asking me lately is, Tyson, should I be eating carbohydrates? Should I be going on a low carbohydrate diet? Are carbohydrates and pasta, are they the things that are making me fat? And that's what I want to share with you guys today. So, yes, we've heard that pasta's bad, we've heard that carbohydrates aren't the best, and now we should be eating lots and lots of more healthy fats. And this is just going in the complete opposite direction. One of my clients, he said, Tyson, I'm not losing weight. What's going on? Is it because I'm eating too many carbohydrates? And now we've shifted from one side to the other. We used to think carbohydrates are great, and now we don't think they're as good. And I used to fall into this category too. I used to actually be really, really scared of carbohydrates. But what happens is you need carbohydrates to function, right? There are all these diets out there at the moment, like keto and like low carb and paleo and all these things, and they advocate more low carbohydrate diets, which is good to an extent, but you still need to have carbohydrates in your diet for energy. However, if you're consuming too much carbohydrates, that's going to be the reason you can't shift your body weight. And it's the same as fats too. If you're consuming too much fats, that's going to be the reason you're not going to be losing weight. So when it comes to carbohydrates though, how many carbs do you need a day? And I can't give you a set specific number for each person, because each person is going to handle carbohydrates differently. You've got to think about what your body type is and what your body shape is. If you're someone who's more of like a big powerlifter, like endomorph, well then you've got to think about, are carbohydrates going to be the most beneficial thing for you? Most likely not. You're going to benefit more from more higher proteins, lower carbohydrates and lower fats, right? But if you're someone who's an ectomorph, who's really skinny and tall, well then carbohydrates are going to be really, really good for you, because you're going to want to put on lean muscle. And you've also got to think about your goals. You can't just say carbohydrates are bad or carbohydrates are good. It all depends roughly on your goals. If you want to lose stubborn belly fat, like most of us do, well then carbohydrates need to be reduced but not completely cut out. That's why I always suggest, when people say, like, I need to cut my carbs, well, let's have a look at the amount of carbs you're having. You should be trying to have a good serving of carbohydrates every meal. And what's a good serving? Well, for guys, it's about 2 cupfuls of servings, right? And what I actually like to do is suggest that you have it probably with most likely around your post-workout meal, is when it's going to be the most beneficial for you. Now, if you still can't shift the belly fat, well then it might be that you are eating too many carbohydrates. But don't just think about carbohydrates, also look at the amount of fats and food overall you're consuming. Because fat is higher in calories than carbohydrates, and so it's easier to overconsume. It's easier to overconsume fats from nuts and things like that, as opposed to overconsuming sweet potato or potatoes and other sources of carbohydrates that aren't high in calories. Now, when we're looking at carbohydrates, so we want to think about where we're getting our carbohydrate sources from, which is going to be the most important thing. A lot of people seem to be going on this avoiding gluten bandwagon, and it's really good that you avoid gluten if it actually upsets your stomach, or if it actually causes inflammation in your body, because other people can handle it. If you're just trying to avoid gluten for the sake of avoiding gluten, it might not be the best thing for you either, because a lot of foods like oats can be a great source of carbohydrates and energy for the day, but if you're avoiding them because you're trying to avoid gluten, then it might not be the best thing for you. So that's a really good thing to think about. Don't just jump off the gluten bandwagon because you've just heard about how bad gluten is for you. Yes, it is. It can be bad for some people, but if you're not allergic to it, why would you want to restrict yourself from certain carbohydrates that could actually be beneficial? Now, the top carbohydrates I'll recommend though are fruits, of course, and then we want to go towards sweet potatoes and potatoes. Now, the reason I'm choosing them on these levels is because they're going to be the highest nutrients, right? You're going to get the most from it. So fruits, and then your sweet potatoes and normal potatoes, you're going to get a lot of vitamins and minerals from those. And then we go down to things like quinoa, because quinoa's got high in protein, and which is also a good source. And then you've got your beans and lentils. You've got oats, like I said before. You've got rice, and you've got apart from that, I wouldn't go any much further. They're probably my top 6. Then if you're someone who likes to eat bread and things like that, you can go for it. But for me, bread causes bloatedness, and I notice it does for a lot of people, especially for a lot of the crap that's in it. So stick with your whole foods first, and then move down the track, because you're going to get more nutrients from it. So guys, carbs are not fully evil. You need to embrace them in your diet. You need them for energy. You need them to make, it's going to help with your muscle repair, especially after a workout, so try and time it around them. And that's the video for today, guys. Now what I want you to do is learn how you can burn stubborn belly fat faster. So click on the link below and I'll send you my ebook right now that tells you everything you need to know about that. Till next time, speak to you guys then.